And a very happy Monday to you at 12:08 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show, broadcasting live from the Morago Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios. Apologies, but I have a little PTSD from the national anthem because every time the national anthem plays lately, the Angels lose a game 2.5 hours later. Mr. Randy Wags at the sports desk in Culver City.
Johnny, you and I love it when politicians get heckled, and boy, did Katie Yaroslavsky and Karen Bass get a handful from their constituents when they tried to propose a homeless shelter right next to a school on the west side.
Guys, I've been in office for 7 months, and what's become abundantly clear to me and my team.
Oh, Katie!
She's not going to like that.
No. This meeting lasted 12 minutes. It is actually right up there with the San Francisco supervisors meeting that had to get canceled after 10 minutes because someone tried to throw a brick at London Breed.
Oh, that makes me nostalgic for all those community meetings during Obamacare.
We will have some of the sound from this incredible meeting throughout the show today.
800-222-KABC is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Welcome back from your vacation, Randy. It's good to have you back in the state of California.
Well, I don't wish I was still in the state of California. I wish I was still in the state of New Mexico because it's freaking beautiful there, and Santa Fe is perfect weather even in August, but happy to be back, and I'll do as much as I can here to make enough money to go pay for all the meals that I ate while I was in Santa Fe.
Well, I want to make you feel like you're back at home, and there's no better way to do that than to start the show by opening up the KABC Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, this next story involves something we're very familiar with, crime at convenience stores.
That's right, but this was no dummy cashier.
If the cashier is dummy.
This is cashiers that happen to be all the way pissed off.
And I want you to be all the way pissed off.
As two 7-Eleven employees had it up to here with a jackass running around with a trash can trying to steal all their cigarettes, they decided to beat the guy with a stick till he started crying.
That's right, and it was all videotaped, of course. The video went viral, and now that's why we're talking about it.
That's right. For more, here is CBS Sacramento.
The beating.
Oh, let me rewind it. I was listening to it during the break. Here we go.
Don't do that, man. Don't do that.
He warned him.
Stockton store beat down as workers wallop a shoplifting suspect trying to steal a trash can full of cigarettes. Tonight,
that guy should submit that headline. That's fantastic.
Now, a trash can full of cigarettes, that has to be valued at more than $950.
Stockton store beat down as workers wallop a shoplifting suspect trying to steal a trash can full of cigarettes. Tonight, we speak with the man who took out his phone and caught the whole thing on camera.
Now, we do have a warning for you, though, straight off the top. Some may find this video disturbing, but
I found it funny.
Oh, it was cathartic. That's the word I'd use.
I tried to not pay attention to the news at all last week, and it was beautiful. But this one seeped through, and I saw that video, and I was like, good for those 7-Eleven workers.
Disturbing, but let's get right out to CBS 13's Madison Keevy, live for us in Stockton tonight with answers from the man behind the camera and the company policy.
You got to pull the short straw, and you're the Sacramento beat reporter that has to drive to Stockton.
Home of the ports.
With answers from the man behind the camera and the company policy that was likely broken. Madison.
Yeah, that man tells me that at first, when employees went to protect their store at this 7-Eleven in Stockton, that he was impressed and supported what they were doing. But then he said after more than 24 hits, he started to question if it would end in death.
So he wasn't a fan of the bloodlust. Hey, sometimes you start wailing on somebody and a demon takes over.
You know, what they call that?
What's that?
Thief pinata.
Man, don't do that.
From there. So I'm shocked right now. I don't know what to think.
The man behind the camera replays a chaotic Saturday.
There's nothing you can do. But it's nothing we can do.
Cell phone video from a Stockton 7-Eleven on the corner of Center and Market Streets has gone viral.
Then next thing I know, guy walks in with a mask. So I'm assessing it like, okay, I got to make it out of here. So let me start talking.
I asked the man who took this video, who goes by Dita, about what we see. A masked man attempts to unload the shelves.
He literally is rolling around with a large trash can and shoving the cartons of cigarettes in it.
By the way, if I'm shopping at that convenience store and a masked man comes in with a trash can, I'm not going to stick around and videotape the thing. I'm going straight for the door.
A masked man attempts to unload the shelves, mostly cigarettes, dumping the stolen goods into a trash can.
Now, is there a resale market, or is this guy just got that bad of a nicotine problem?
I think the resale market is out of his trunk.
Dumping the stolen goods into a trash can. He's overheard on video threatening two store employees. This is where things escalate, and 7-Eleven's company protocol is broken.
Wait, 7-Eleven doesn't allow their employees to fight back? They just want them to be sitting ducks?
What's the protocol? To get shot?
I mean, we have seen time after time, we've seen strings of robberies of 7-Eleven employees got murdered this year. I can understand why these employees might want to do something about that instead of just waiting for someone to victimize them.
Well, and if they come in there to rob the place and they do so brazenly, I think you have to assume they have some kind of weapon on them, and it's not the first time they've done it. There are things that can happen to you other than death. They can wound you, they can cripple you, they can do all sorts of things that you don't want to happen.
Like 20.
I do love the sound of a stick. Yeah. Really works for the radio.
That's old school.
Like 25, 26 hits. Like I couldn't tell how many hits, but I knew I was quiet to a point because I couldn't believe like this is happening.
You know, I have a feeling this guy might not rob again.
That's right, because even though he did it in California, after the whole thing was over, I'm sure he felt like he did it in Singapore.
I mean, this guy felt what most criminals don't feel, actual consequences. And he's going to be feeling them for quite some time.
And seeing them.
Excessive and potentially against the law. Stockton police say they're aware and investigating what plays out in this minutes-long attack.
No. We are not going down the road of going after the 7-Eleven employees for defending their shop against the robber.
What county is Stockton in? Is that San Joaquin County?
Let's find out here. What county is Stockton in is the question I'm going to be outsing Google today. What county is Stockton in? Stockton is in San Joaquin County. You got it right. You get 5 points.
There you go. I do not believe they will be prosecuted in San Joaquin County.
Oh, boy.
Stockton police say they're aware and investigating what plays out in this minutes-long attack. The beating against 7-Eleven company policy. As outlined in a Justice Department report, employees are trained to handle robberies as calmly and quickly as they would any other transaction.
Wait, there's a training manual for how to deal with when someone wants to rob you?
Are you supposed to say thank you, come again?
If the cashier is dummy.
Employees are trained to handle robberies as calmly and quickly as they would any other transaction.
I didn't want him to lose his life that night. And I didn't want the employees to do a lot to get them put in jail for something that they really probably emotionally didn't think about.
Dita says he knows people might ask why he kept filming before he intervenes.
I mean, a little bit of him knows that this is going to go viral.
Oh, if that were me doing the recording, what you'd hear me saying in the background is, hit him again, hit him again.
Well, and if you watch the entire 4-minute video of, from beginning to end with this guy breaking in, the stealing, the beating, all that, he tries to break the tension by constantly asking, yo, can I get a Swisher? There's only one more thing entertaining than watching that is watching it with a blunt.
He says it was for protection and proof of what happened.
And it's getting ridiculous to a point that we got to figure it out.
It's not worth your life, nothing else, okay?
To give you perspective, the 7-Eleven sits directly across the street here from the Stockton Police Department headquarters, and the man who took
that is some bold brazenness.
That's when you know that it's anything goes in the state of California.
You don't pick one that's in a remote location. You pick one that's across the street from the police station.
I know 911 response time varies based on where you are, but I wonder if there's a statistic for 911 response time directly across the street from the police station.
Headquarters, and the man who took that video says he's hopeful that means there will be a little more security at this store. He also says it should be a call to the community that more mental health resources are needed here in Stockton.
Wait a second. What does the jackass stealing a bunch of cigarettes have to do with mental health?
If you can connect the dots that it's okay to steal in California right now because there are no consequences, that means you read the papers. That means you're aware of the news. That means you understand the state that you live in. If you bring a trash can, that means you have premeditatedly thought about finding a place to stash as much stolen cigarettes as possible. And if you're stealing cigarettes, you're not stealing candy bars to eat. You're not stealing something for lunch. You're stealing something that has a very high resale value on the black market. It sounds to me like everything this guy did was perfectly rational from the point of view of the criminal.
That more mental health resources are needed here in Stockton. By the way, I also reached out to 7-Eleven for a comment, more information, and did not hear back by this deadline.
Yeah, quite a scene there caught right there on that video. Madison, thank you for that live report.
There you go.
And Randy, this is not the first time this particular individual has robbed this 7-Eleven, correct?
That's right. This time the employees said, we've had enough. They did something about it. And the last thing I want to hear is 7-Eleven or the police going after those two employees.
Not once, but multiple times. So my guess is these employees knew what they were dealing with and decided that they were going to put an end to it right then and there. And because this is in San Joaquin County, I do not believe these employees will be prosecuted. What 7-Eleven does with them, that's a different story. I guess that will be determined based on what kind of blowback they get. If the big national agitators come after them, then maybe they'll feel like they have to discipline these employees or fire these employees to avoid getting any kind of trouble.
You know what I would do? If these guys get fired from 7-Eleven, Marlboro should reach out and make them the new Marlboro men. He saved thousands and thousands of dollars worth of their product.
With the stick in hand. However, if this incident happened in Los Angeles County, I believe that our horrific district attorney, George Gascon, would prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. He doesn't care about people robbing the 7-Eleven. He doesn't care about people robbing homeowners. He doesn't care about people robbing you. However, if you try to prevent a criminal from committing a criminal act and that criminal gets injured over the course of you preventing them from committing their criminal act, from his perspective, you are the problem because you're the one with the privilege. You have the job, you have the house to live in, you have the W-2. Therefore, your job is to let the criminals take whatever they want. And if you don't do that, you, sir, are the problem child from the point of view of George Gascon. So, what I'd like to do right now is open up the phone lines at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222, and ask this question. If this incident, the incident that we just played for you, had happened in Los Angeles County, do you believe that George Gascon would be prosecuting the two cashiers from 7-Eleven? I say yes. What say you? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. If you want to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And if, like Randy, you were on vacation last week and you missed a week's worth of programs, you can go back and listen to whichever show you want to listen to. And Randy, it's quite easy to do.
That's right. Go to KABC.com, click on podcasts, go to the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all of the episodes, or you can go to YouTube, search for The John Phillips Show as well. It's the exact same show, except we don't have the bumper music, which I just forgot is a thing I'm supposed to do when we come back from break.
You got Santa Fe brain.
I really do. Margaritas and red chilies all day.
In Stockton, California, 2 cashiers at a 7-Eleven were robbed for, I think it was, the third or fourth time by this criminal, allegedly, I guess we should say. And this time, they weren't putting up with it. The criminal came into the store with a trash can. He was filling it up with cigarettes, and they beat him with a stick. The guy didn't die, but I'm sure he said ouch a bunch of times.
They whacked him like 30 times.
And candy came out every time they hit him. Now the police are investigating to see if the cashiers committed a crime. I not only do not believe they committed a crime, I commend them for doing what they did. Because if the state of California isn't going to enforce the law, and the state of California is going to tell the crooks that they can go ahead and do whatever they want, when someone finally steps up and says, no, I'm not going to be the victim, I think that's a good thing. That being said, it appears that they violated 7-Eleven policy. 7-Eleven has not stated publicly what they plan on doing about it. All of this being said, if this happened in Los Angeles County, if a 7-Eleven was being robbed by a criminal who's a career criminal and the clerks didn't put up with it and attacked him with a stick, do you think District Attorney George Gascon would prosecute the cashiers? I believe he would, because he looks at the victims of crime as the problem, not the criminals. What say you? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Right now, we're taking your calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. A couple of cashiers at a 7-Eleven in Stockton, California, were getting robbed yet again. This time, they didn't put up with it, and they attacked the robber with a stick, hitting him a number of times. The police say they're investigating whether or not a crime occurred. I don't think anything will come of it in Stockton. However, if it happened in Los Angeles, I believe George Gascon would go after these two 7-Eleven cashiers with both barrels. What say you? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's begin with Jaylene in West Hills. Jaylene, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hi, John and Randy. Love your show as always. Okay, I say yes, Gascon would, and I'll tell you why. There's a little technicality, even though the video shows everything, this guy was stealing things off the shelf, but he never crossed the threshold getting out of the store. Therefore, maybe legally he didn't steal anything, when he didn't take the merchandise over the threshold of the entrance. So these guys that did this, Gascon would jump on it. I believe he would.
So the argument could be that he just had a really large tote bag with him in the store, and he was really going to buy all those cartons of cigarettes.
I love it. I mean, we all know this is horrible, but I wonder whether again, like I say, if we don't take things exactly out of the store, put our, like a place like a retail store, Macy's, they let the people, the loss prevention people, watch that they go certain feet out the store to give them a chance to actually change their mind. Some innocent people will realize that they got a package and they go, "Oh my God, I forgot to, pay for this blouse," and come back in. So I was just wondering if the law, because he got beaten inside the store, even though the video shows everything, maybe he's not going to be, considered a theft. I don't know.
Okay, let's look at this in a different context. Let's say a thief shows up to, or a suspected thief shows up to Mandalay Bay, and they take a bunch of poker chips off the table that don't belong to them, and they put it in their coat. if they haven't exited the casino, we're wrong to assume that they're there to steal?
Yeah, you see, a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, look, this is going to, Gascon would jump on this in a heartbeat, and of course we all know why, because he's going to come up on the ballot, and he wants to look like he's actually prosecuting somebody for once. I'm just saying, I would say yes. I agree with you, John.
Well, if there's anyone on planet Earth who would look at the situation and say, a trash can was a shopping cart of sorts, it's George Gascon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, we've got to get him out of here. Bless Dennis Vine.
Well, thank you for the call, Jaylene. I appreciate it. Let's go to Dan in Linwood. Dan, you're on KABC. Hello.
Love that you're doing this. Yes, Gascon would prosecute him, but on the other hand, a guy like Trump would have him at the White House and probably have the stick gold-plated and thank him. I think to me, I'm a business owner. I deal with this crap. All of us do in this area. Nobody does anything about it. And people forget about all the tax revenue that are helping all the left-wing causes like education and everything else that they want, always screaming that aren't funded enough. They do not realize by allowing this behavior and putting up with it, and people like Gascon, they're losing out on billions of dollars in tax revenue that could help the social causes that are so dear to their hearts. And I love this guy. I hope he becomes a national hero. I think every 7-Eleven employee should walk out if they fire this guy.
Is that something that enters into your mind? If someone's stealing from your business and you say to yourself, okay, I can either just let it go and file an insurance claim or I can intervene. But if I intervene and this guy gets hurt, I'm going to be the criminal thanks to George Gascon.
Oh, it absolutely enters into your mind, but it didn't stop me from grabbing a framing hammer when two guys were going to roll me at my machinery business. And once they saw me spinning that claw hammer around, they got a lot more polite. There was a good chance they'd still get me, but one of them was going to bleed a lot and not feel like a happy nail.
And did they just leave without stealing you as soon as you brought out the weapon?
Oh, yeah, because I kept moving. One kept trying to get behind me. It's a big warehouse, and I finally got a hold of that beautiful Bond hammer and started spinning around. I said, okay, gig's up, guys. You don't know nothing about machinery. Get the frick out of my place. There's the gate. Have at it. And they left. And I've had to deal with that so many times here where someone was going to rob me or whatever, and I fortunately pulled out a pistol. And I didn't have to point it at them, but it's amazing how polite people get when they realize they're not going to, they're going to have some consequences as well. And it's just time to end this stuff. Like I said, this guy should be promoted and celebrated because we are losing billions of dollars in theft. We're losing the tax revenue from it. We're losing the jobs that come with it, the dignity of having a job. And all these left-wing people that are always they're wringing their hands right now about this poor guy getting beat on his feet and his legs, just like they do in Singapore. But there they strap you to the table and they break all the bones in your feet when you do something like this. And for the next couple of years, you walk around, and as you walk around, you're reminded of your crime. That's a great system. Very efficient, very low cost, and I love it.
Well, thank you so much for the call, sir, and I'm glad you've been able to defend yourself, and I'm glad you haven't been injured in any of these robbery attempts. Let's go to Stu in Covina. Stu, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hey, guys. You know what I'd like to do is, with Gascon, bend him over and spank him with the same stick for doing such a terrible job as district attorney. Listen, 95% of the 7-Elevens out there are franchise-owned. They're not corporate-owned. This is a franchise location. The owner's not going to do a damn thing. In fact, he's going to reward the employees for doing a great job and protecting his business and their livelihood.
Well, if you gave Gascon a spanking, he might enjoy it.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But, yeah, I mean, look, crime is so rampant right now, so blatant. People have no care. They're leaving California as a result of this. I talked to a lot of people that have left California strictly because of the crime and the increase in crime. It's terrible. Something needs to be done.
Thank you for the call, sir.
Hey, Johnny, I got to read this real quick.
Yeah.
We here at 790 KABC do not advocate for the spanking of any public officials.
Wait a minute. What about Dick Morris? Was that what he paid for? Oh, no, that was the toes.
I don't know about that story.
Yeah, that was separate. Who was? Oh, that was Marv Albert. He's not a public official. He was into the biting. I better stop.
We don't advocate for any unwarranted spanking or biting. If that's what you're into, good for you.
Or toe licking.
Let's move on.
800-222-KABC is your telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. A 7-Eleven was robbed in Stockton. The cashiers weren't having it. They beat the robber with a stick, and now they're being investigated by the cops. If this happened in Los Angeles County, do you believe George Gascon would prosecute the cashiers? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's begin with Joe in Los Angeles. Joe, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. I enjoy your show very much. I just have two comments for you. First of all, I am a police officer, okay? And I can tell you firsthand that Gascon would file against the clerks. There's no doubt in my mind, and he would probably give a community award to the suspect for trying to provide cigarettes to the homeless or some stupid thing like that. And more importantly, though, you're kind of missing the point. This was not a petty theft. This was not a shoplifting. This was a burglary. This guy entered the location with the intent, armed with the intent to commit a theft. That is a felony, and you don't have to leave the store to do it. So, I have no doubt that hopefully that Sam Joaquin will file on this guy. But it wasn't a petty theft. It was a felony. It was a burglary.
And the guy did have a weapon on him who was the robber?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that if he had a weapon on him, then it's a robbery. But if he didn't have a weapon on him and he entered with the intent to steal, and you can enter with the intent to steal a bag of potato chips, but if that's what you entered the store for, that technically is a felony. And in this case, if there was a slew of cartons of cigarettes, you're well over $1,000 anyway, because a carton of cigarettes is almost $60 now. But the cost is irrespective because it is a burglary. You're entering with the intent.
All right. Thank you for clearing that up for us. We appreciate your call. Let's go to Dave in Northridge. Dave, you're on KABC. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How you doing? So what he did, he committed a robbery. So a robbery is defined as the felonious taking of personal property of another by means of force or fear. So if someone's trying to take something from you and they say, F off, I got a gun, that's fear, right? The second thing is he did say that he had a strap and he put his hand in his waistband. At that point, they had reasonable belief that this guy had a weapon, right? So whenever you're confronted by someone with a weapon, you can use reasonable force to defend yourself, right? So reasonable force is defined through Graham versus Connor. What would someone with similar experience and similar training do, right? So they had a stick, they had no training, they believed he had a gun, so their response to that force, meaning he had a gun, was to beat him until they felt that he was no longer a threat to them. So this guy's committed multiple felonies, 211, 459, 466 criminal threats. But, yeah, Gascon would file on them because it would be politically expedient.
And based on what I've read, this guy has robbed this particular location before.
Yeah, makes all the sense in the world. Like I said, it is a robbery as defined by robbery. It's a felony. And like I said, anytime someone says, hey, I have a gun, and you take them down and maybe they didn't have a gun, the fact that they said they had a gun, you're allowed to use reasonable force to counter that threat. I'm also a former police officer, so that's a standard that we're held to. So, for instance, you and Randy are armed with a stick. You're going to be held to a different standard than a police officer with 20 years experience and all sorts of training, right? They're going to say, Randy, John, what is your training with sticks? And you're going to say, maybe I have a broomstick that I sweep my floor with, as opposed to a police officer there asks for your training records and all that kind of stuff using a baton or similar weapon.
All right. Thank you for the call. We appreciate it. Let's go to David in Van Nuys. David, you're on KABC. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Thanks for taking my call. I just have two comments on this one. The first comment is that the people to blame here is the voters. California voters are the dumbest voters in the United States. They keep voting the same politician in the same office, and here we are crying about it. So the message I have for all the voters, suck it up. Don't cry about it. Just live your life the way the politicians want you to live your life, because we're just a bunch of peasants. So basically, California wanted this government, and now we have it. So sleep on it.
All right. Little tough love there. I love it. Thank you for the call, sir. If people voted differently, then people like George Gascon wouldn't be the ones making these decisions. And we wouldn't have laws that give criminals the correct impression that they can take anything they want as long as it's under $950. If you start going in a different direction, maybe you'll get a different result.